Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you will have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. It's another one of my Behind the Vet Rehab Practice podcasts this week. And for those of you that are new to the Veterinary Rehabilitation podcast, these are one of my most favorite interviews to do. What I love about them is that vet rehabbers share with us their wins and their losses. And although it's not great that they made mistakes, when they share them with us, we get to learn from them. And so when we find ourselves in the same positions, we have hindsight, which we would have never have had before. So basically, you get to fast track your success by not repeating the same mistakes that they made. So this week, I'm speaking to Silvia Boscolo. She owns and runs London Vet Rehab. Now, Silvia and I have been trying to do this interview for years now. And I first heard about London Vet Rehab and her mobile underwater treadmill unit. I think it was in 2019. And I was so amazed about her idea and the innovation in order to create this unit. Now, I believe that this is the first one of its kind, and Silvia chatted to me about how she went about building the unit, fitting the van, the challenges that she had. There were a few upgrades that she needed to make, as the first model was not 100% ideal, and since then she has sold that unit and has now upgraded and built the deluxe model. Before we head over to the conversation, a quick word from our sponsors. Choosing the right therapy laser and PMF systems for your practice are big decisions, and that's why Response Systems has been helping to make that decision easier for over 40 years by offering both Class 3B and Class 4 lasers, as well as a full line of PMF products designed for both small animals and horses. As part of the Paul Prosper family of brands, Response Systems is dedicated to providing you with a customer and patient-centric approach to rehabilitation. You can find out more at responsesystems.com, and you can also see Response Systems at our Vet Rehab Summit, which is on the 10th and the 11th of November. All right, let's go over to Silvia. Hey, Silvia, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you. Thank you.
Awesome to have you on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to connect, I think, for 3 years, and just trying to find a time that you and I could chat. It worked for both of us. Was really, really tricky. Mm-hmm. Silvia, won't you tell us about yourself and how you got into the field of vet rehab?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I did was move to London after I qualified as a vet nurse. I've studied at vet nursing in Italy. I moved here in UK, and I started in a 24 hours hospital, and I worked there for 4 years. There I was basically the head nurse for neurology and diagnostic images. So I did MRI, CT, helping with everything. So at that point, I started to realize that after the clients came in diagnosed with a disease like, let's say, IVDD, DAXI, do MRI scan, and after the MRI scan, surgery, and after the surgery, there was nothing else. And I was like, well, there must be something else that we can do for these guys. So I started to study a bit of cryotherapy and as a nurse, how to help the animal. And after, I opened the world in the vet physio, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I can qualify in vet physio and help these guys going home with a plan. So I was basically the pioneer of the physiotherapy in that clinic. And since then, they started to use more physio. So I was very, very happy with that. And since then, I started my career as a vet physio, but with experience as a vet nurse before. So it was very complete everything because I knew the condition and I knew what I could do to help rehabilitate any kind of dog. Like so, from the neuro cases to the orthopedic cases and all that jazz. And in that practice, I found Sarah. Sarah Mameli was my first mentor in rehabilitation because she was doing acupuncture there. So we started our little clinic inside there with a bit of acupuncture, a bit of therapeutic massage, and a bit of exercises. And since there, so the passion grew and grew and grew.
That's awesome. And now we fast tracked to 2023.
Yeah.
And you are still in London now. And
Yes.
you have actually a mobile hydrotherapy unit, which
Yeah.
I remember seeing this now. It must have been, I mean, how many years ago did you create the first one? Because this is not your first one. I think this is the second model, right?
Yeah.
How many years ago did you actually start that first one?
The first one started in then London Vet Rehab was created in 2018, August 2018. And the first mobile unit was like started in December, if I'm not wrong, or January, 2019. So yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, you know, for me, having had an underwater treadmill in my practice, right, and the space that it takes up, when I saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So you basically, I mean, and this was your idea, right?
Yeah.
You came up with this idea, and obviously this is so perfect for London because you know, to be able to drive around and, you know, and people obviously are working and you're able now to take the hydrotherapy units to them. Okay. So the underwater treadmill. And so you came up with this idea to actually have a van and put an underwater treadmill in the van and drive to people's houses or to other practices and do underwater treadmill there, which is amazing. So tell us about that idea. Where did that come from? And where did you actually even think like this is possible? Because when I think about it, I don't understand how you fit everything in, like the water tank and all the things that my underwater treadmill had. I mean, we had a whole lot of things stored outside, let alone everything that was inside the van.
Yeah. So basically at the beginning, when I started to work on my own, I started in a hydrotherapy place. So I was doing a bit of physio and I learned about the hydrotherapy and I did my certificate. And I was like, yeah, the underwater treadmill is definitely something that I have to do more. So when I started to do my first little clients on my own and I started as a self-employed, I was like, yeah, we need to do something more. So I tried to open my own practice first of all and find the spaces. So I spent like months looking for places, but people don't give you the space if you have a very young business. So they don't say like, well, we don't have business history, so I cannot give you anything. So I was like, all right, I need to do something more practical. And my mind is very practical. So I was like, yeah, the idea is I have to go to the people's client. Okay, water treadmill in the van, well, could work. So me and my ex-business partner, because I used to have a business partner, we started to do like a very big research about that, and we found this little underwater treadmill, and we were like, okay, let's take some measurement, and we realized that it fits exactly inside a van, like a normal van, that deliveries van. So I was like, yeah, let's try it. Did all the measurements and stuff, and slowly, and we created that.
Yeah, wow. So I mean, well done. Because I mean, most people would have just thought, no, like you know, to be the first person to do something is always the scary thing, and it must have been a big risk because an underwater treadmill, first of all, is not cheap, right?
No.
Then you had to get a custom-made van, or you had to remove all the seats and everything, and custom make the whole van, kit the whole thing out, not knowing whether this was actually going to work or not.
Correct.
So I really take my hat off to you for taking that leap and doing it. And I mean, you hadn't seen, because I don't know of any other person anywhere in the world. And I remember when I first saw you, I saw a Facebook post of yours. I remember thinking, like, that is the first underwater, like mobile underwater treadmill units, you know. So I don't know of any others, and I haven't heard of anybody, you know, when I've been talking about it, say anything about it. So yeah, to be the first one to do it, I just want to say, yeah, congratulations. Like, that was a big risk you took, but it obviously paid off. So how long did it take from the concept, the time that you decided, okay, we're going to do this, and then you worked out the measurements and you said, okay, well, it's going to fit, to actually getting a functional working hydrotherapy unit that was in the van?
So we started to think about that, when we first opened London Vet Rehab, so August 2018. And let's say that it took probably around 6 months, no, even less, 4 or 5 months, let's say, just to do all the measurement and to talk with the guys of the underwater treadmill, and trying to find the right power for that, like how much kilowatt we need to power up the underwater treadmill. And let's say it's probably 6 months, in total. It was longer, actually, the time that we waited for the underwater treadmill, because we were all ready to go, but it took a little bit longer too, because they build up that every time when they have the orders. So yeah, definitely about 6 months-ish. Yeah.
So talk me through how your day is. So,
Okay.
you know, you leave off in the morning and you go off and you start treating patients. I mean, what does your day look like?
So basically, thinking about in the morning, the thing that I have to do is loading the van with electricity and water. So every time I move the house, I need to find the right house for the van as well, and for the company. So now that I bought my first house, I managed to find the parking right outside my door. So it was like so perfect. So basically in the morning, as I said, I wake up, loading the van with electricity and water, and at 9 o'clock I leave my house. Starting, well, the journey is planned the week before. Normally I do it today on the Friday, and I do my little journey and calculate the time for so the logistic is a little longer at the beginning, but now it's like super easy. Leave my house, and normally I don't leave early than 9, because the rush hour and all that jazz. Otherwise you get stuck in traffic. Arrive to the clients, 45 minutes, an hour, it depends on what the clients need. So doing physiotherapy or hydrotherapy, or both together, that I can combine and do half an hour and half an hour. And let's say 9 o'clock, and I'll be home around 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock. A normal journey, but you have to add the traffic and the driving. That at the beginning is very stressful, because you don't understand like the area and how much is the traffic and the timing. So that is the biggest deal at the beginning. But now that I know, like, at 5 o'clock, everyone goes home from the office. So avoid 5 o'clock. Or avoid the 3:30 when the kids come out from school, and all the little things that you have to calculate. But that's a pretty easy journey. And even when you have traffic, when you have the stress of the people on the street, when you arrive at your patient, like everything changed. You have your patients, smiley faces waiting for you at the door. So definitely that is worth it.
How many patients on average would you see a day?
So now I decided to take it a little bit easier, because I'm on my own, and because I'm getting older as well. The energy is a little bit lower than before. But now I can do roughly 6 clients a day, media. When I push hard, like 7 or 8, but I need to push it because maybe the week after I have the holidays. So I want to give my clients the the right therapy before me going away. But when we were 2, we used to do like even 12 in a day. That was crazy. That was definitely too much.
That is a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So, crazy question. I remember London. So I lived in the UK from like 2001 to 2005, and I actually worked on the Isle of Wight.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, and it's so super quiet there.
Yeah.
But I remember going up to London, catch the train, and I'd go up to London, and I actually even once or twice drove into London in the beginning, not really knowing that I shouldn't be doing that. I catch a train into London. But I remember driving there, and you cannot get any parking anywhere. So how does that work for you? So like when you come up now to your clients and you're like, need to go to that house and there is no parking, how do you handle that? What do you do?
So a lot of tickets. No, I'm joking. No, I have a lot of clients that have a driveway. So that is really handy. And normally during the day, people are or at work or they are moving around. So there people will be surprised to see that there are a lot of spots, especially even in central London that I go to. Sometimes you have to run around a little bit, get some tickets when you don't find anything, and you're like, okay, I have to probably spend that money of that client in the ticket, but yeah, sometimes it's worth it because you go and treat your patient right outside the door, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, definitely it's not that scary. A lot of people are very scared of driving in London, and my mom and dad, for example, say to me like, how can you do it every day when they come to visit me? But it's not that scary. But it's the reason why I'm on my own now working, because first of all, no one wants to drive in London, and second of all, yeah, on my own is pretty easier to handle, actually.
Yeah. So do the clients come out with their dogs, or do you go in and get them? Do most of the clients come into the van with you, or do you generally just treat the patients on your own?
It's a bit of a mix. I have clients that have to work all day in the house because they work from home most of the times. So I just go and get the dog if they are in a meeting. I prefer them to take the dog to me so they can tell me how was the week, how was the time after the last therapy and all that. But yeah, I have some, I would say half of the clients that has like a chat with me inside during the therapy. So it's a nice time there, like you share with the clients as well your time, and I love it. And sometimes you create like that bond that you became friends as well. I got nice good friends and clients that invite me to their dinners and stuff. So yeah, it's very nice to have them in the van as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must say that is the one thing that is so great about vet rehab, which is very different to veterinary. In veterinary, everything's so quick. Your time with your clients is a very quick interaction, whereas vet rehab, you spend a lot of time with the patient and the clients, and
Correct.
you really get to know them. And like you say, they become your friends. You get to know about their family, when their daughters are getting married, when they've got grandchildren. And I must say, for me, it was also one of the things that I loved when I was consulting, just those relationships that I built. So you mentioned that the underwater treadmill, in order to get it into the van, had to be quite a small one. So has that impacted on the size of the dog that you can treat? I mean, can you basically put a Great Dane in there, for example?
So Great Dane, no, definitely no. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit. But I had Bernese Mountain in it. I had I have a Malamute, and I have other big dogs like big Labradors, fatty ones as well. Because when you have to rehab them, they are injured, so they don't have the full range of motion. They don't have the like a huge mobility. So it's good in the treadmill that they can build up the muscles at the beginning as well. So after that, I just refer them sometimes to the pool, or I refer them to like a bigger treadmill, like practices nearby after they feel better. But at the beginning, you can treat any kind of dog because, yeah, mobility is restricted. Knee surgery, CCS surgery, they can't even move the leg, or a hip replacement. So yeah, definitely almost every type of dog.
And where are you getting most of your clients from? Is it from word of mouth, or are you getting quite a big referral from the veterinary practices in the area?
I have a bit of both. So obviously, clients recommended to friends. So I had a lot of referral from friends of clients, or like family. But definitely a big chunk is from vets, because as I said, I used to be a vet nurse, and before starting to be self-employed, I was doing a bit of a mix, like a bit of self-employment with a few clients, but at the same time I was locuming as a nurse. So when I was doing locuming, I was going around London in different practices. I worked also to a referral center in South London, in Surrey, and I was telling them everything about my idea, and plus the physiotherapy. So also instructing vets that didn't know about rehab and how to act after surgery, because when you study the surgery, I don't blame the vets because they can't know everything. So I was helping them with the idea, and it did work. And I have so many vets contacting me also for advices about rehab, when we should refer, what we should do after this surgery. Have you got plans for this dog? Do you want to see that? So it's very rewarding that they trust you that much. It's amazing. I love that. And I have a good relationship with like a lot of vets around here.
Yeah, that's great. And I do know that you are pretty much fully booked, because that's why it's taken us 3 years, more 5 years, to be able to do this podcast, to find a day where you were not treating patients.
Yeah.
Earlier, when you told me about parking your car outside your house, and you have to fill up the electricity and fill up the water. So how does that work? So like, how is the electricity? How do you actually run? Is it like a battery operated? Are you charging it? And then is there like a mini water tank that is in your in the vehicle? And then do you just dump that the next day, or you treating the water, or how's that all working? Run through all of that with us.
So basically, the amazing thing about this underwater treadmill is that you have treadmill, and attached to it there is the tank. So that's the best thing. You have a big block on a platform, and they put the platform on the van. So that is sorted, and all the piping and stuff is on the platform. So you don't have to touch and move anything. You don't have other tanks around. So it's very compact. That's the most important thing about this treadmill. And behind, I have the 2 huge batteries connected with an inverter. And I connect the inverter every morning. So I charge the batteries from my plug inside the house. So basically, I do it every day, but you can do it like in a big chunks. It depends how many clients you have, because running the treadmill it takes like the energy of like a washing machine. So you have 3 kV to have to empty, and to empty the tank. So yeah, you need that power. So you need big batteries. Yeah.
And so the tank that's there, you're just treating that water and maybe just topping up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't recommend to use chlorine for these tanks, because it's all steel metal. So obviously it gets rusty if you use too much chlorine. So what I do is, because it's the size of like a little bit bigger than a bathtub, it's like you're having a bath every day. So I change the water every day. I put the water warm inside. I don't warm it up, because it doesn't need it, because it's still it can hold the temperature of the water until, let's say, 4 o'clock. It's a little bit tricky in the winter, so I do shorter days in winter because obviously it gets a little colder quickly. But apart from that, chlorine, I use the chlorine once a week or once every 2 weeks to obviously disinfect everything. Let's say once a week. So I fill up the tank, I fill up the treadmill with water, and I put the chlorine and treat everything for like 24 hours. And I wash everything the day after. So we know that the water is clean. We know that we have a clean environment, and ready to go.
So let's chat about the new model now, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the first one was like an experiment. Like, is this going to work? And I'm guessing that there were some things about that actually didn't work so well for you. And so you decided you needed an upgrade, right? So you sold that one. So you sold that one. And now you've got the deluxe model. So tell us about that.
So the first reason why I did change the van and I did do a new van was because I needed a more recent one. Obviously, the first one was pretty old. It was an experiment, as you said, and I needed something like big. So that one was a minibus. So we removed all the seats and everything, and had a windows, like couple of more windows and stuff. But I realized I didn't need that 2 windows first, and second of all, I could fit the central command of the underwater treadmill behind that, so it was more reachable for me. So I changed a little bit of the organization, basically, of the treadmill with the batteries and stuff. And obviously I have also I have to have a toilet inside. I work every day, so I have a little portable toilet as well that it used to be behind the seats, but now I moved it at the end. It's a hide it in the corner. So it's a easier way to, you need to empty the tank as well. And what else? Oh, a little bit of other things. I could add like a bigger peanut inside because it's a little wider. So I have a hanging there, like a bigger peanut, a smaller peanut at the back, a little bit more space above when I can fit all the tools like wobber boards and all that jazz, and like a bigger ramp as well for the bigger dogs. So this one is a little bit wider and definitely more recent again, also because we have the Hewletts here then. So with we needed like an Euro 6 as well to run around London, otherwise the cost will be too high. But yeah, this is a super deluxe one.
So tell me, what has been the biggest challenge that you've faced now with doing this mobile hydrotherapy unit?
So at the beginning, the biggest challenge was understanding how much funds we needed, because you're like, okay, how much does it cost all of this? You have the treadmill, you have the batteries, you have inverter, you have to buy the van. So, oh my gosh, and we were like, I don't know. And we did like an application to one of the local companies that helps the startups. And I worked like a couple of months on the business plan and all that. That was long, because I didn't have a clue about what's the business plan and how to deal with all these like expenses and stuff. But at the end, we managed to have the funds, and there was a little bit more as well that we could buy. Also, the old interior to cover the flooring. So we had the spongy one that was comfortable on the walks and not slippery, and to cover all the walls as well with the carpet and all that. So yeah, I would say at the beginning was like understanding like how much you needed to create that.
Yeah, I mean, because I suppose you think about it that you don't have your own premises and all that yet, you're going to be saving, but there's a whole lot of extra things that you're obviously needing, although you're not paying rent, right? And so now, like, obviously you on your second van, when you're having the van, are you having to upkeep, replace the batteries? Are these extra costs? I mean, I'm just thinking that those batteries must cost a lot of money and they're not going to last forever, right? So
Yeah.
how often are you having to replace the equipment that's in there?
That's pretty durable, actually, everything, I would say. The batteries are, for now, are new, actually, because obviously the new van was built like, if I'm not wrong, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So obviously, yeah, I bought the new ones, and I did replace the batteries on the older one before selling it. So I would say at least a couple of years they will last. That, I think, is one of the only thing that you have to keep in mind, that you will have that 700 pounds to spend on that. A bit of maintenance of the other water treadmill as well. Obviously, you have to fix like all the rubber on the doors, and replace the rusty bits and all that. But the greatest thing about the mobile unit is, as you said, not having a rent for that is a huge relief. So you're paying insurance, but the same amount that you're paying for the rent, you paid in 1 year. So, it's like the one you pay for a month, I would say, you pay for a year, basically, for the van. So definitely that is a big relief. So you can take it a little bit easy with the clients. You can stay there a little bit longer, and you can treat them a little bit more relaxed, instead of rushing around like every 30 minutes in a practice, because you have to pay the rent and you have to keep up with the cost. I know how it works because, yeah, I did work in a place and it was quite stressful for the owner as well.
And one major benefit I can think of is if you go on holiday, then you've got no overhead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. You don't have to worry about paying
Exactly.
the rent and all the electricity and all of that, So,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing there must be some tax benefits because you sort of work from home, actually. So you can probably write off, I'm sure, all your water and electricity costs to
Yeah, exactly.
charging those batteries.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
water,
okay.
for sure. Yeah.
So if there was a vet rehabber who was out there who is wanting to start their own mobile hydrotherapy unit, what advice would you give them?
So the biggest advice is to plan everything. Basically, all the little particular that needs to be planned, because otherwise, like, everything needs to fit. Like, I was very good on Tetris when I was younger, so that was the biggest challenge. You have to fit everything in there. Try to choose the right band, and try to choose the right treadmill, the power, the logistic, because the challenge that we had at the beginning was like basically understand how much we have to drive and how far we could go with the clients. So you had requests from everywhere in London, and we used to reach everywhere in London, literally, and that was exhausting and also not worth it at the beginning, because you treat 3 clients a day, but you're driving 4 hours, so it's like that's not working. So literally plan every little particular. And for this reason, because I want to help everyone, and because it's such a very big help for the clients, I'm like in the process to write up like a little book guide about how to create your mobile unit for hydrotherapy, for animal therapy. So that will help everyone. So yeah, I really advise to keep in touch, because I will release it hopefully within this year. but it's a lot to write down. And I'm not a writer, but I will try my best with little friend that can help me with like correcting stuff and organizing and publishing and all that jazz. But finger crossed, I will be happy to tell you everything about it when it's released.
That sounds absolutely awesome. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can just get hold of you on your Facebook page at London Vet Rehab.
Yeah.
And you've got a website too?
Yeah, I have just built up a new website, www.londonvetrehab.com. And I will also put videos for physiotherapists, because I open like a little Facebook group about London Vet Rehab support for like physiotherapists that needs help, or like the younger one, the students, or the vet nurse that wants to get themselves into physiotherapy. So there I put like all my Friday tips that I do on Instagram with like the progresses of my patients, and like talking about the conditions, and they can ask me anything, and we'll be happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Silvia. It's been so wonderful chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and everything you're doing. And I wish you all the best of luck with London Vet Rehab. And it's just amazing the thought that you had and now what it has become. So huge congratulations.
Thank you guys for reaching out.
Thanks, Silvia. Take care.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Response System. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast out to you for free. So go and check them out. You can go to responsesystem.com. Don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit on Friday the 10th and Saturday the 11th of November. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Onlinepethealth members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.